board contest. And anybody who frames it in that way isn't paying very close attention to what's been happening on the chessboard. All right, last question, Major Garrett.
Mr. President, good to see you.
Good to see you.
And for the children there, I promise I won't take too long. So you've been very patient.
I've been boring them to death, I guarantee you. But there have been times where I've snagged rebounds for Ryan when he's shooting three-pointers, so he's got to put up with this.
Understood. Understood. Mr. President, I wonder if you could tell the country to what degree you were changed or moved by what you discussed in private with Pope Francis, what you think his visit might have meant for the country long term. And for Democrats who might already be wondering, is it too late for Joe Biden to decide whether or not to run for president? And lastly, just to clarify, to what degree did Hillary Clinton's endorsement just yesterday of a no-fly zone put her in a category of embracing a half-baked answer in Syria that borders on mumbo-jumbo?
On the latter issue, on the last question that you asked, Hillary Clinton is not half-baked in terms of her approach to these problems. She was obviously my Secretary of State. But I also think that there's a difference between running for president and being president. And the decisions that are being made and the discussions that I'm having with the Joint Chiefs become much more specific and require, I think, a different kind of judgment. And that's what I'll continue to apply as long as I'm here. And if and when she's president, then she'll make those judgments. And she's been there enough that she knows that you know, these are tough calls, but that, no, that's not what I said. That's perhaps what you said. What I'm saying is that we all want to try to relieve the suffering in Syria, but my job is to make sure that whatever we do, we are doing in a way that serves the national security interests of the American people, that doesn't lead to us getting into things that we can't get out of or that we cannot do effectively, and as much as possible that we're working with international partners. And we're going to continue to explore things that we can do to protect people and to deal with the humanitarian situation there, and to provide a space in which we can bring about the kind of political transition that's going to be required to solve the problem. And I think Hillary Clinton would be the first to say that when you're sitting in the seat that I'm sitting in the Situation Room, things look a little bit different. Because she's been right there next to me. I love Joe Biden, and he's got his own decisions to make, and I'll leave it at that. And in the meantime, he's doing a great job as Vice President and has been really helpful on a whole bunch of issues. Pope Francis, I love. He is a good man with a warm heart and a big moral imagination. And I think he had such an impact in his visit here as he's had around the world because he cares so deeply about the least of these. And in that sense expresses what I consider to be, as a Christian, the essence of Christianity. And he's got a good sense of humor. Well, I can't share all his jokes. They were all clean. And as I said in the introduction in the South Lawn, when he appeared here at the White House, I think it's really useful that he makes us uncomfortable in his gentle way. That he's constantly prodding people's consciences and asking everybody all across the political spectrum what more you can do to be kind and to be helpful. and to love, and to sacrifice, and to serve. And in that sense, I don't think he's somebody where we should be applying, the typical American political measures, liberal and conservative, and left and right. I think he is speaking to all of our consciences, and we all have to then search ourselves to see if there are ways that we can do better. It did. I think that when I spend time with somebody like the pontiff, and there are other individuals, some of whom are famous, some of whom are not, but who are good people and deeply moral, then it makes me want to be better. It makes me want to do better. And those people are great gifts to the world. And sometimes they're just a teacher in a classroom. And sometimes they're your neighbor. And sometimes they're your mom or your wife. Sometimes they're your kids. But they can encourage you to be better. That's what we're all trying to do. I think, and that's part of the wonderful thing about Pope Francis is the humility that he brings to this. His rejection of the absolutism that says I'm 100% right and you're 100% wrong, but rather we are all sinners and we are all children of God, and that's a pretty good starting point for being better. All right? Thank you guys for your patience. You can now go home. All right. Thanks.
All right, a very deliberate, very cautious Barack Obama. On average, he fielded 5 questions, each averaging about a 10-minute answer. But I did want to correct one thing. Who am I to correct the President of the United States?
Exactly. Don't even start with your bullshit already, man. With your fuck ass.
By November 5th, they better move fast on it, because we'll be down to our last 30 billion, and we'll be facing 60 billion in bills. I should remind folks that it was Senator Barack Obama,
man, you better talk generous,
who voted against raising the debt limit, arguing that, and I quote, that increasing America's debt weakens us domestically and internationally. Leadership means that the buck stops here. Instead, Washington is shifting the burden of bad choices today onto the backs of our children and our grandchildren. America has a debt problem and a failure of leadership. Americans deserve better. I therefore intend to oppose the effort to increase America's debt limit. That was then, this is now. Now all politicians, all men in Washington and women involved, that's fine. But I did want to stipulate then that he had very different views on this same subject when it involved a different president at a different time. Dagan McDowell, on this and other issues, specifically
don't have
the
this
jobs
bitch talk,
and how he framed that. It was a weaker than expected jobs number. Nevertheless, Wall Street pounced on it in the end, on the idea that maybe this holds off the Fed. What do you think?
Right, and that was the first thing he talked about before he even took one question. He emphasized, of course, the positive
Man, there's
part
one
of
thing
it,
wrong with this.
Taking credit for that.
The first thing they point out are numbers, debt, and capitalism.
But then
That's
he
the
pivoted,
first
and he
thing
he essentially said, and I'm paraphrasing, that job growth
they're pulling up.
last month would have been better if not
Instead
for
of talking
Congress
about the
creating
moral
manufactured crisis.
and educational
And that is,
message
well,
that the
that's
President
tall
of the
tale.
United
And then he went
States
on to
just
say,
brought to the table,
An employer's decision to hire them.
it's just a constant bash with these Fox News cats, man.
I understand if you
It's
get
like,
up
I don't
and
even
you,
understand
do
it.
not raise the debt ceiling, and you do have issues with our credit rating.
Okay, we
I
do,
understand
we
how that
do.
can create uncertainty. But that is not the uncertainty that we're talking about. We're talking about an economy, businesses that are burdened with greater regulations, businesses that have trouble making decisions because of the burden of Obamacare.
Burden.
But
I don't know how. I have no
Look
idea
at
who.
Look at the
who
language, the
concocted
negative,
that
condescending
theory that he laid out.
language constantly used.
Explain this to me. We were down at one point today, 260 points when the jobs data came out, hinting of a slowdown.
Numbers.
We finished up 200. Why?
The jobs number was weaker than expected, but it's not weak enough to
No
suggest
moral
a recession.
message,
So
no
we have an
nothing.
economy that's growing slowly, but we also have a Federal Reserve that won't be so quick to raise interest rates. You had a drop, you had the rally, but you still have interest rates.
Let's
that
see
are
if
in
he
check.
spends the whole
You still-
segment
which is
on
great
it.
for homeowners, great for the housing market, which has been a strong point in this economy. And you also have extremely low gas prices that are going lower, and that's great for an economy that 70% of it is based on consumers.
Dagan, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, sir.
A whole hour here, watching this patiently.
Trying to touch your knee and
Take it all in, take it all in. Dagan, thank you very, very much. The president also did address Syria today. Katie McFarland on that and the fact that the Russians don't have the upper hand here. Do you agree with him?
No, in fact, I think what he's made really clear is that he doesn't really care. He is
Oh
ceding
my
the entire
God.
Middle East to the Russia-Persian alliance. They are going to keep Assad in power. They are going to
Fox
occupy
News'
land.
main mission
The Iranians have sent over 100,000
is to
troops.
crush
The Russians are flying aircraft
every
sorties. And Obama's
Democratic-
in effect saying, you know, not my
No,
problem.
scratch
I
that.
got my team, I've got my coalition.
It is
Russia,
to
if you'd like
crush
join my coalition, fine. But I'm not
anybody
going to do
who is
anything further,
against
and the great arc of history is on
their
my side. That's the European
specific
stuff in the
agenda.
pipeline. So, too bad. But I think that, as much as we sit
Completely
there
down
and
to
watch that
drink.
press conference, we're not the only audience.
bash.
People in Moscow are watching this press conference, and people in the Middle East are watching this press conference.
Yes,
If you're
and
in
they, and
Moscow,
they are.
what
And you know
message
what
you
they're
take?
looking to? The tone that he uses. Not
Well,
exactly what he's
this
using.
issue is one that has gotten Donald Trump's attention. He had said,
Yes,
as you
it
know,
brings
Katie,
a
this is
softer
something that
tone.
Russia's gonna fight. Go let him do that. I just talked to Ben Carson a short time ago.
Yes.
But
I got
it's
his thoughts on
still
it. This is from Ben
a
Carson.
better message
I do not
then
want to allow
let's
Vladimir
go
Putin
bomb,
to expand his influence. That's been
nationalize
his goal for quite some time now. He was very disappointed
other
with the
countries.
dissolution
No.
of the Soviet Union and with its tremendous influence worldwide. We cannot contribute to his ability to regain that.
All right, we will be rerunning
So
that entire
specifically,
interview,
Republicans
entire
would be
interview on
going
Monday. That's
against
another
the
choice you said
UN.
about some of the other candidates in this race. But to Ben Carson's point,
Okay?
Katie, that Donald Trump is
I
wrong,
mean,
that on this
we're
you
gonna
don't
get
want to see
endorsements
anything
against it.
to Vladimir Putin.
You know what I'm saying?
I
There's
don't think
international
you wanna see
people
anything
watching
about
this,
it.
right?
Because
Right.
why? Because
Right.
that's a
So
problem
who do you
that's
think
very
they're
important.
endorsing?
Not just
These
is it
people
where
have
oil
money.
comes from, and Putin and the Rush and the
All
Iranians
these
now
foreigners,
control that whole
internationals that are
region.
listening
But it's
also have
where we
money
allies that we
to
know that
influence
they have. So not
politics
only
in the
people in Moscow
American
watching this, but the people in the Middle East
fucking
are watching this.
system.
Seriously, what have you concluded? We're on our own. If you're the Syrian
No.
rebels, we're on our own.
Don't tell me I'm a
If
liar.
you're the Saudis, you
We got
concluded
fucking
from
foreigners
watching
visiting
this.
all the
President
time. They
Obama
just
is
had 'em here.
walking away from the Middle East.
Oh,
He's
you gonna
leaving
tell
it
me
to
they
the
don't spend no
Russians
money?
and to
Get
the
out of here,
Iranians
man.
and to Assad
They're endorsing
and to
people.
Iran
George
and to the
Soros,
Shiites,
whoever
and
else.
Obama's consoling
Millions of
himself
others.
with the thought that eventually history will prove him right. But if you're living in the there and now in the Middle East today,
Gotta have a
it's been
certain
But KT, isn't he also saying if it's Syria,
level of
Iran, and Russia on the same side
compromise
versus the rest of the world? Is he right?
when you
what's
talk,
the rest of the world? I mean,
because
the
we have
rest of the world
these
isn't
extreme
gonna play in this,
Republicans
but
who are very
what about the people in the
patriotic.
region? We have
You have
just
your
spent
extreme Russians who are
probably
very
3 decades
patriotic.
involved in this
You have
part of the world
extreme,
trying to stabilize it. We've made
you know,
mistakes,
Syrians
yes,
that are
we have.
very
But we are not
patriotic
walking away
and,
from our
and so
allies
forth.
in the entire
And what
region.
they can
For
do,
example,
though,
today,
is they can influence the politics in their country and where they want their country to go to. So what I'm saying is that
the American
just like the
ambassador.
Republicans
What does that say?
aren't
That says
backing
Israel, you
up,
are on your own. And when Obama can talk about the great arc of history,
you know,
the
every
power
move the
is going to
U.S.
step
does.
they're making
Same
big
goes for
mistakes,
Russia. Same
too
goes
bad.
for
What I
anywhere,
take away
Israel,
from that
whoever.
is that
They're going to
he's
be
just left.
upset
And
who
what
they're
we
dealing
saw
with,
President
who's
Obama
what's
is
going
what
on,
he
who are you backing up, who are you working with, who are you making agreements with. From some Soviet Union motherfucker, he's not going to want a deal with the UN either. He's not going to want that either. So we have to keep these things in mind, that there is a sense of traditionalism in each one of these countries because it's only right and humane. But at the same time, if we can even the power structure, if it's possible, that's the way to go about it.
Well, it is what it is.
And the Pope's a motherfucking man. Fuck
Hello
Neil.
everyone, I'm Greg Gut.